Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this interview of Magnifying Your Impact. And today, I'm very privileged to be interviewing Linoy, who is a lady who, chatting to her, she doesn't seem to sleep at all. She's got two massive roles in the world, leadership roles. One is, Linoy, I'm going to try and say this in the right way, but you have a huge, what it seems to me, the mind boggles as to, you know, your role within HSBC at a corporate level. You are the GBM head of Middle East, you're the CIO of the head of Middle East. So just, you know, you could probably explain that much better than I can, but you have a very senior job within HSBC. And also you're the founder of Infusion 100, which is a charitable organization that you set up within HSBC in order to help children all over the world. And currently you have 5 schools that you've built in 5 years. And you also have a home for homeless orphan children in the world. So welcome to this, and thank you so much for sharing your time today and speaking to another friend of ours who kindly introduced me to your amazing work. You've created a real amazing platform within a very large corporate organization that has an entrepreneurial feel that takes people on adventures around the world to get them away from their day-to-day and really understand more about their sense of purpose, and through doing that give them an opportunity to be able to well and truly give back through this vehicle. I hope I've given that introduction in the right way, but it's inspirational because you know, these days there's at your level within an organization of the size at which you operate, there's so much pressure and time in which you have to operate the highest of levels, and still you've given yourself to this project. And so one of the things that I'd love to learn from our interview today is, how do you manage that? Because there's so many people listening to this interview today that really struggle to give the amount of time that we need to in order to help the world right now. So welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. And what I'd love to start off with is just give us an idea of how you built this. Give us an idea of your career and how you became so senior in the organization and how you built this amazing platform.
Okay, so 5 years ago, I was on a management course. So it was like a leadership course with 33 people on the leadership course. And as part of the leadership course, we had to create a project, but the project was specifically towards how can we simplify or reduce the cost of HSBC. But I really, at that time, wanted to give back to the community, because I really feel that as leaders within an organization, it's extremely important that we give back. We need to give back. And so I set out a challenge for everybody on that course to walk 100 kilometers with me. And if one person would raise 1,000 USD, we could build a school in Africa, and we could build it together. And the school cost 33k USD, and we had 33 people. And luckily for me, they said yes. So we walked from Cookham to HSBC. It took us 24 hours through the night. We didn't stop. And it was amazing. And we raised exactly 33k to build the school. And then we went and we built the school with our own hands. And then at the end of the management training course, there was a very amazing guy. He said to me, "This is amazing, Linoy, but do you think you can keep it going? Do you think that you can keep the momentum going?" And I said, hell to the yes. So the year after, we did three walks, so 300 kilometers. And we built another school, and we raised enough money for the next school, and we raised enough money for the next school. And we've built now 2 schools in Malawi. We've built one in Senegal. We've built one in Haiti, and we've built one in Nicaragua. And last year I was in Mexico, and I really, really, really wanted to give back to Mexico. I was there's so much poverty in Mexico. You see it everywhere you go. You walk in the street, there's poverty on the street. And I really didn't want to walk in Mexico and build in Africa. I wanted to walk in Mexico and give back to the community.
Yes.
So we built a house for the homeless in Mexico, which is currently housing multiple families. So it's been absolutely an amazing journey, and what's so incredible about this movement is that over time it's just grown exponentially as people join the walks, as people
Yes.
come on the building of the schools, because it's the most amazing experience to go to the community, live in the community, and build with the community. That's just a complete change within yourself, and also a change within that community as well.
Yes.
And it's been absolutely incredible. We've managed to educate over 10,000 children in the 5 years. We've managed to have over 5,000 people walk with us, and we've raised 200k USD. So it's been an absolutely phenomenal journey, and it's changed my life forever.
So tell me more about that. How has it changed your life forever?
So when one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is because when I was 16, I really wanted to build schools in Africa. That was my dream, actually. And life takes over, right? So I had a kid at 18, and then I went to university, and then I got on the treadmill of working every weekend, working. And so when she left home to university, I had all this time on my hands that I wasn't a provider for her, and I decided that I wanted to use that time that I didn't use on her to help as many people as I could all over the world, which is what we did and are still doing.
And that's a great story, and I've had experiences, not the same in any way, but kind of similar in that I know how African communities, and indeed communities, I'm sure, in South America teach us so much more than we can ever give them. And so that in itself, inclusive of everything else you've done, it is profound, isn't it? To get everybody involved in something like this. Where do you feel that this came from, this need when you were a kid? This dream to be able to contribute at this level. Did it come from, do you think it was in your genetics, your folks, your school, you? Where did this come from?
I think I've always been driven to help everyone around me, etc., etc. And I think growing up there was this huge band, especially around my age group. There was Band-Aid, and we'd always have, and that I think that had a massive, profound impact on me. As soon as I saw there's people who don't have running water, who don't have food, but I need to sacrifice myself for them. That was my feeling when I was 16. I want to sacrifice my life for them. I want to help them as much as possible. And I really, and the other side is that I come from a line. My grandmother is Kurdish, and so my mother was born in Baghdad, and my grandmother was never taught to read or write. So she never had the toolkit to show the world the best that she could be. And so running underneath my ethos is I don't want any women to have to go through the hardships that my grandmother went through, because she couldn't read or write. She couldn't get very good work. She was a cleaner. She was on under minimum wage, and she was married at 13, pregnant by 14. So I really, really want to show women the way, and I want to show that there are women leaders out there that can change the world, and there are women leaders out there that came from poverty, which is what I basically come from, and you can make a huge impact. And I want to show that is possible. And every time I go and build a school, we have to give an opening speech at the ceremony, at the
Yes.
opening ceremony. And I say to the children, look at me, look at me. I come from poverty and I'm here building a school for you. So in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, I want you to come to my country and build a school for me, because that's what we're going to give you. We're going to give you the toolkit to be the best that you can be. And then you can reach for the stars and you can dream big. So dream big.
No, it's wonderful. And that to me really resonates, because you've clearly got a deep desire from your grandmother, and that shows. And what's unusual that I see, if I may, is that a number of us have been in the corporate world in different ways for different amounts of time, and we haven't achieved. Many of us haven't achieved the level at which you operate within the corporate world, and yet you have this ability to be able to merge the two worlds, if you like. And so, talk to me more about how talk to me a little bit about your career as a CIO, and also talk to me about how has that helped you. What is your advice? How has that helped you to inspire ladies and gentlemen within the corporate world to do the same? Talk to me about your job and how have you merged the two?
So basically, for me, I became a manager at the age of 28 within HSBC. And as soon as I became a manager, I knew that was my calling in life, that I was put on the planet to lead men and women. I mean, that I just feel that is my calling, because I fundamentally believe in people, and I fundamentally believe that if you give people around you the right toolkit and you inspire them, you can do anything. And that's within the corporate world and outside of the corporate world. You can literally, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And therefore, when you inspire the people, you can do anything. And that's basically, I love my job. I've always loved my job, and as soon as I started managing people, I loved it even more. And so I believe that I will give 150% to this organization, and I will give 200% to Infusion 100, because I have a drive to basically change the world, and I do fundamentally believe that you can do that from the place that you are in.
Yes.
And also, I'm very lucky that the managers have supported me. If the managers hadn't supported me, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But the GBM CIO really, really, really supported me, and he helped me raise the funds as well. Like he pushed, he really pushed the agenda for me. So, and he would put me on stage, and I would talk, and so I wouldn't have been able to do it without my managers backing me 100%. But as soon as we did the first school, everybody's like, wow, this is unbelievable. They said they were going to do it, they did it, and now they're going to do it again and again and again and again. And the thing is about walking 100 kilometers is, especially, when a woman is leading that type of event, it just brings on this whole mentality of, we're going to do it, we're going to do it, we're going to get to the end, we're going to do it together. And also, when you walk 100 kilometers with someone, you know that person, because you've seen the vulnerability.
Yes.
You know them inside out.
Yes.
And what you're doing is you're creating a community within a community, and that's basically what we've done. So we've created a community within HSBC, and because the walks are in different locations, we've created this huge network of people now that are virtually connected because of the walks.
Yes.
And you have this dialogue that's, oh, when I got to 50k I felt like this, and when I got to 60k I felt like that.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's very, very difficult to explain, but you create this bond, and that bond never dies.
I completely get it. And the sense of collaboration and community that you create through your work is what it's all about. And I think now, for me, you know, sitting in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, if there's one lesson that we need to learn, it's about, you know, connecting to people and learning about community more. And so with that, talk to me more, because you have an ability to give us some advice on culture, because at your level at work, where you're leading so many other people and responsible for so much within the bank, you know, there's many people listening to this that are taking on a charity or taking on a team where the culture isn't what it wants to be, or that they've just taken on a role and they want to build a culture from scratch. So talk to me about what is your advice when you walk into a role, be it with a charity, social enterprise, community interest company, or a corporate or an entrepreneurial organization, whatever your job is to lead other people. What is your advice as to what you need to do to create the right culture? What are the three things that are most important in a team to create the right winning culture?
I think the most important thing is to have a vision. You need to have a vision. What's your end game? Because it's very hard to lead a team that doesn't have a goal, a vision, a strategy.
Right.
So that's the first thing that I do, actually. I set out the strategy. What are we going to achieve? And what is our responsibility within that achievement? So I make it very, very clear to the people. There's no ambiguity around that. The second thing is respect. You have to respect yourself, the people within the team, at every single level. You know, if you're going to talk to the CEO or you're going to talk to the graduate, it's all the same. You need to have respect for every single person on this planet. Every single person on this planet has a story and a journey and a story to tell, and you need to respect that. And I think the third thing is humor. You always bring people together with humor. So if you can create a safe environment, a psychological safe environment for your people, and you give them the vision and you respect them and you're humble, then you can do anything. And
Yes.
I'll give you an example. The Nicaraguan, so I've been to a lot of communities now.
Yes.
I've been to 6 in 5 different countries. But the Nicaraguan chief was the most amazing chief I've ever worked with, because he would never ask his people to do something that he wouldn't do. He was the hardest worker on the site. He built every house in the village. He knew every single child by name. He would go and hug the babies from the mother, and he had complete respect from if they were 2 months old to 100 years old.
Yes.
And that kind of leadership is absolutely incredible. I mean, I learned so much from him, but everyone wanted to be around him because he was humble,
Yes.
and he had humor and he had charm. So of course that just built this amazing
Radiated.
community around it. Yeah, exactly. And he worked so hard. I mean, the guy was incredible. He was a machine. He was a machine.
Linoy, you in your daily life, clearly, you come across a lot of different challenges. And at the moment, it feels to a lot of people that there's a lot of fear around, and there's some big challenges in the world, as there always has been. But yet, with media stimulation that we're experiencing right now, there's a lot of noise and a lot of challenge and a lot of difficulty. Talk to me about what you feel is the biggest challenge right now with people in the world, and how do you feel best to either manage this problem or solve it?
So I think the biggest problem that we have right now with COVID-19 is that there's a lot of uncertainty of what the world will look like when we come out of it, when we have the inoculation. And uncertainty can breed a lot of discomfort within every person. But I do feel like there's a silver lining, because every person right now going through COVID-19, working from home, is having an experience where their internal dialogue is, who am I? What is my place on the planet?
Yes.
And what can I do for the planet? I think every single person is going through that right now. Who am I? Why am I here?
Mm.
And I think that dialogue, that internal dialogue, we haven't had for a long time as a
Mm.
conscious community, because we've been running so fast. You know,
Yeah.
we need, you know, we're on the treadmill, we're going to work, we need to buy this house, we need to do this more, we need to pay the mortgage, we need to buy the car, we need to da. And COVID has made us sit, and that sitting can be very discomforting, but it can also help you lead the way to, okay, what is my next step on my journey? And
Mm.
for me, that's basically, it's given me the time to think about that. And actually it's given me time to think about Infusion 100, because I'm thinking now, actually it's time for me to give back to my own community. Why haven't I
Mm.
gone to Kurdistan to build a school?
Yeah.
You know, why
That's a
haven't
good
I?
point, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm in the Middle
Yeah.
East. Why haven't I built a school in the Middle East?
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so, so it's
That's
changing
exciting.
me. It's
Yeah.
changing me as a human being to be better, and I think that's what COVID-19 is doing for everyone. I know that it's there's a lot of discomfort, but once you get over the discomfort, you can actually be a better person, and you can be the best person that you can possibly be because of that. I think it's a very interesting time right now.
Yeah. That's really powerful. It's valuable. So, uh, a lot of, as I shared earlier, a lot of ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this podcast or YouTube video that we're doing today are looking to fundraise, or they're looking to make more money in some way, shape, or form, or they're looking for more security financially. And there's many other things that are more important in my eyes than money in the world, but it is an important energy and it needs to be abundant in my view. You're you're relatively unique in the people that I've been speaking to, in that you work for a bank, you work for an investment bank, and you have an enormous organization around you. That I think I'm right in saying that money is a piece at what you still do. And so you're very familiar with abundance and in many different ways in your life, clearly. And you understand how to handle money, how to handle it emotionally, physically, financially. And you also know how to make money. So just talk to us about what money is, how to fundraise it, and where to place it emotionally.
So fundraising for anybody takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of energy from me as well. You know, when I know that I need to raise money for the next school, in fact, I'm starting the process of, I want to build, I'm looking to build 2 schools next year, one in Palestine. I really want to build in Palestine, and I really want to build in Ghana. So, and I know that I've got to raise the funds for that. So I have to gear myself up for, okay, you know, that's a thing. But what's very, very lucky for me is that I have a network and a community that is very, very giving. And also because I'm underpinned by my organization, it helps me because I've got this outreach to multiple people. And this is when people are finding it hard to raise money, I say to them, you need to use the network that you have. You need to,
Yeah.
and if you don't have the network, then you need to grow your network so that you have a network that will give you the funds. For instance, there's an NGO that's currently being funded by someone's own pocket. And I said, you need to understand that people want to help, which means
Yes.
that they will donate as long as you can show that you are going to make a change in the world. People want to give, actually.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
really want to give, and they want to keep giving. So I've had multiple, donations from the same
Yes.
person. But it's about it's it's always about the vision. If you have the vision and you have the people and you have the momentum, then the money will follow. The money will always follow. And I'll give you an example. So, for instance, in Mexico, I had to. It was a new project completely from scratch. And the Mexican culture, they distrust anything to do with money. Anything to do with money, they're like, we don't want to get involved. It's going to be corrupt. It's not going to happen. Blah 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 blah. And I had to explain. And I explained over and over and over again, no, it's going to be okay. We're going to build the house. It's for the homeless. Your money will go to the house. So the 100K is coming, and I'm still 8,000 USD short for the house. 8,000 USD. But people kept saying to me, and I kept saying to the people, don't lose faith, don't lose faith. It will be okay. And on the day that we finished, we managed to reach our target. Yeah. So
and Linoy, tell me about what is money? I know it seems like a strange question, but there's so many people that I've come across that we have a fear of asking for money, or some people have had bad experiences with money in their lives, or it's they feel, whether it has or hasn't is another conversation, but they feel that the money's hurt the relationship, or so you work incredibly hard for your money in lots of different ways in your life, clearly, but you have an abundance attitude with money, and you have an abundance attitude clearly with life. So just answer me this: what do you see money as, and how do you feel about money?
So money's complicated, specifically I think for me, because growing up we didn't have an abundance of it, right? So I made a very, very conscious decision when I was young that I am not going to be poor anymore. And I used my education to get to the place that I am now. I knew that was a inside drive of mine to be successful. I had to show my grandmother that women can be successful. That was an internal drive. And I worked really, really, really hard. Like every weekend I was working. I put everything that I had into my career. But again, because I love the job, it's not a chore. It's just, it's just an abundance that came out of me. But I really do believe that when you get to a certain point in your life, that community is far more important than the car you drive or the house that you live in. It really is. It really is, like at the fundamental level. And I think that we as leaders have a fundamental right to put back into the community what we've taken out over the years. And money is not evil. Look at what you can do with money.
No. It's not
Look
evil.
at what you can do. So if you can disconnect the emotion about money, and you can disconnect the greed about money, then you can do absolutely amazing things when you raise that money. But you need to disconnect the emotion, and that's basically what I've had to learn to do over my time, over my career.
In order to disassociate yourself from greed or difficulty with money or the complexity, and have the values that you now have, was it because I believe that sometimes there's a moment in our life that changes us, and I believe that sometimes it's a build up to that moment, and sometimes it just happens and we don't know where it came from. Where does this come from in you, that you now as an adult and as a leader can disassociate yourself at the level that you do? Is it a mentor that you've had? Is it a moment in your life where you said, I'm not doing this, or I'm changing this? Can you remember, is there a moment? What is it that inspires you in this way?
So having my child, absolutely, because I had my child at 18. I had her on my 18th birthday, actually. And as soon as I had that child, I decided that I wanted to give her everything that I didn't have. That was, and that was the drive in me, was her.
Okay.
And then, so I, that's what I was driving. And then when she left home, that was also the big bang moment where I was like,
Yes.
you need to give back. This is
Yes.
your time to give back.
Yeah.
You need to
That's
live your
amazing.
dreams. You need to live your dreams for you. Okay, now you've been living your dreams for your child. Now you need to live your dreams for you. And
Yes.
that's the aha moment for me.
And I know that this is tricky. I'm sure you do a great job at this, but it's a tricky question, I think, to answer, because we do what we do and we are who we are. But you have a character I can see, and through chatting today, this is what I see, is that there's a lady in front of me here that has a really strong character, has a huge heart, has a real drive to work hard, has an understanding of complex mechanics and systems and strategy. And so you have a number of different elements of your internal world that you've put together, which is not unique in the world. There's 8 billion of us, but is unusual, I think. And so what I'm looking for psychologically is an understanding of balancing. Let me put it to you this way, is that I love this phrase, that there's two things in life. There's achievement and there's fulfillment. And achievement is a science and fulfillment is an art. And some people achieve a lot and aren't, I'm being general here, but some people achieve a lot and aren't necessarily as fulfilled. And then you have people that are very fulfilled and don't always achieve. And then you have all of us in between. You seem to marry the both quite well. So when you get negative thoughts, Linoy, or you get doubts, you do because you're human, or you get a difficult day, give us some ideas of how do you enter your heart when you're stressed, or when you have so much responsibility and you have the ability to take yourself away and say, look, I need to breathe here. You're emotionally intelligent and you're cognitively intelligent. So talk to me about how you balance those things, and what do you tell yourself when it gets tough?
Okay, so this is my secret. So basically, I live life to the max. I mean, everything that I do, I always ask myself in the morning, what are you going to learn today? What are you going to do today? Who are you going to help today? And every single place that I have been, and I've been lucky that HSBC has sent me to 5 countries. So I've been in Hong Kong, China, Mexico, Dubai, London. I make sure that I touch every single person that comes into my life, and I make sure that they leave my side a better person. That's a gift that I can give. That's a gift. And therefore, when I have any type of doubt inside myself, I say to myself, if you were to be hit by a car tomorrow, would you be happy with your achievement? And I am 100% happy with my achievement, because I've lived out my dreams. I have set out the goal to educate as many children as possible, and I have done that. And I have promised my grandmother that I will reduce the amount of women that had to go through her hardship, and I have done that. And I have promised myself that I will try and get to the top of my profession. Now, I'm not right at the top, but I'm in the middle and I'm happy with where I'm at. And therefore, if I were to die tomorrow, I would be extremely happy. And I know that I have touched many, many people around the world. And when I wake up, I feel the power of that. That's, I know that there's people in Mexico that have been touched by what I have done for them. And I know that there's people in Hong Kong and China, and that gives me strength, and that's a power that helps me as a leader. I have that. I wake up and I feel that energy from the world, and that keeps me going, and it makes me try and be the best human that I can possibly be.
Huh. And if there are a number of people who've achieved a lot, and say, for example, there's somebody who is at the beginning of this and that hasn't achieved anything like you've achieved, what would be your advice? Because you have that's fascinating to me, because what I've realized is that people who achieve a lot, it's not luck, and you have a certain discipline, you have a certain way you say things to yourself in your head every morning. You have mantras, whether we call it that or not. You have ways of thinking, processes internally that allow you to live the way that you do and have the values that you do. And so if you can give me a couple of different ways in which people can think or say to themselves, even if they're at the beginning of their journey, what's your deepest advice for people who are just starting out in their career or in their charity work or in their lives for that matter? What's most important to think each and every day?
So I think it's important that if you take a step back before you're talking to yourself every day, I think you need to know yourself. Absolutely. Look inside yourself and say, who am I? And what is my mission? Why am I on this planet?
Yes.
Is it just to consume, or is it to make a difference, or is it to earn money? And
Yeah.
to be honest, it doesn't matter as long as the person knows what their mission is. Once they
Yes.
have their mission, then they
Yeah.
can say to themselves every day, am I on the path for my mission? Is what I'm doing today going to help my mission? Yes,
Yeah.
no. If it's not, don't do
Don't
it.
do it.
If it is, do it. So I would strongly recommend, what's your mission? What's your purpose on the planet? If your purpose is to be at home with your children, that's amazing. So make sure you create the best environment for your children. If you decide that you want to create orphanages, go and do it. Just go and do it. But don't sit and think about it and not do it, because the
No.
act of doing is what's going to make the change.
Yes.
Set out the mission and then go and do it, and anything is possible. When you bring people together, anything is possible.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
That's a wonderful psychology. I have, as I always do, but it's particularly profound in this interview, that I have many different questions. I know that we're pretty much out of time. I thank you so much for your energy and for sharing with me. I have. It's really interesting because I've learned so much. I've got so much spinning through my head. When you look ahead, I've got one final question. You say that you have you've achieved so many of your dreams, and you've helped so many thousands of people now. I love this question. When you reach the end of your life and you look back, when you're on your rocking chair and you look back, so if you take from where you are now, and what are you going to do with the next 30 or 40 years? In other words, and that's an important point, because I think the Western world, at least, another generalization, helps us to set a goal, and we're so focused on that goal, and then the damage is we hit it and then we get lost.
Yeah.
So how do you keep going? And now that you're where you are and you're happy, even though you probably get promoted and promoted and promoted, or whatever you choose to do, what's next, and what's your vision for the next 20, 10, 20, 30 years?
So basically, due to COVID, obviously I've been thinking a lot about it, and actually this year, I mean, I was lucky this year that I managed to build the Mexico house in this year, so it's not like it's a write-off. I will have a building.
Yes.
So but it's been tough, right? Because in my head, I'm always, we're going to walk 100k and we're going to build a school.
Yeah.
We're going to walk 100k,
Yeah.
and COVID is like, you know,
Yes.
it's put yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But what it has done is made me realize that what I want to do, my next set of dream, is to focus on a community and make an absolute change within that community. So instead of
amazing.
spreading,
Yeah.
you know, across multiples, I want to go to one place and say, I am going to sustainably, continuously, almost at the grassroots, change the ethos of this one community. And I would love to do it for my ancestors. That would be a dream, and I'm sure that I will get there eventually. It's just going to take me some time.
Yeah.
But that's the dream, and I've got two projects in the pipeline that you know, that I've got coming up. And then when I if you're asking about when I get old, you know, when I'm like, you know, in my 70s and 80s with long grey hair, I just want to be on my rocking chair, you know, hugging my great grandkids, just going, life's great, life's great.
Yeah. Great
And
answer.
I really hope that you know, that great grandchild's a woman, and I'll be like, you can do anything is possible. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm not sure whether it'd be a girl or a boy, but I'm sure you'll be, absolutely, I'm sure you'll be there. It's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure.
Great story.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.